point of this is, I mean, we used to talk about IP to IPO. It's that whole, you know, growth to get companies of scale that can really punch at or above their weight, you know, internationally. How are you feeling that we're doing in terms of, you know, people get disappointed when companies are, you know, viewed to selling out early or, you know, become acquired by international companies? Although, you know, I used to always say we're encouraging Scottish companies to go and acquire internationally. This is the nature of the global economy. But, you know, are we getting more ambitious, more confident in terms of the kind of scale of growth that companies want to go to before they see some kind of exit?
Yeah, it's always an interesting debate, isn't it, that point on exit and what's a good exit and what's not in certain people's eyes.
Yeah.
And it's an important part of the market, as you've just talked about. You know, investors are looking for an exit, and that exit can take whatever type of form. For us, the message has always been that if a company chooses to sell, then as long as it's had options to do something else, if there's enough options on the table, then, you know, the company will take the, you know, the right option. I think what's pleasing is that the Calnex listing just a little while ago has been great news generally for lots of people, but great news for the market. I think it's important that the companies, you know, remember that a listing is a very valid option for the future growth of a business, and it only takes one for people to then, you know, remember and to take heed of the options that are out there. And I think that, you know, the Calnex deal was great in itself, and it made, you know, good returns for investors, which is always good for further, you know, reinvest into the economy. But it also just makes people, you know, remember the importance of that as a market. So I think there's lots of options out there. I mentioned the introduction of the Scottish National Investment Bank will certainly help from a later stage funding point of view. The markets being, you know, they're open. Obviously they have been. There's a few challenges around about it, but deals like Calnex, I think, will again just allow people to appreciate options, to look at what's maybe right for them, to take advice. Because one of the challenges we often see with companies that are not exit ready, we've often spent a lot of time in the past talking about investor ready, and that's still, you know, an aspect of the Scottish enterprise business. But exit ready is actually just as important. I know Sheen and Tate have done, you know, a few things, you know, round about that for us, and on their own account. And it's important that companies do take the time and the effort to think about that as well, to prepare themselves to make sure that they're facing into an exit, you know, situation with their eyes open, with all the, you know, the I's dotted and the T's crosses, and prepared for the right kind of exit for them as a business.
Yeah, and you're right. And while we do have all this expertise in Sheen and Tate on that, you know, kind of entrepreneurial side, you've got, you know, Paul Mason and his team who are, you know, really helping companies with that growth and scale and restructuring, but actually a good exit, right? You know, where, you know, you maximize everything for all the players. Do you think we've got the right kind of 360-degree advisory scene in Scotland, you know, for that?
So again, it's an interesting point that comes up in a lot of conversations, actually, is whether we are as capable in Scotland from an advisor point of view as likes of London or other kind of more international economies. I think we've got some great advisors on the ground who offer great advice. I think the key thing is the collaboration, you know, with others. You know, it's not possible for, you know, anyone in an economy the size of ours to be absolute experts with the full networking and capabilities required for every, you know, turn of event. I just don't think it's ever going to be possible. But what we see more and more is those strong relationships, whether it's kind of partnerships in some shape or form, or collaboration that happens with other advisors, either in other jurisdictions, or, you know, with another focus of specialism. And I think that's really the way forward for us, to make sure that we kind of focus on what's important for our economy, but make sure we're very alive to and can get the right contacts and right connections from elsewhere when we need it.
Yes, I mean, and like Sheen and Tate, lots of Scottish professional services firms that are, you know, independent are part of much bigger international collaborations, and I think the growth of that is really important. I also just want to say I totally agree with you. I think it's just fantastic to see the Calnex, you know, listing, and congratulations. I remember, I mean, that's not a new company, right? You know, and I remember, you know, going in there, and I want to say Tommy is the chief executive or managing director, founder, and I remember him
Yes,
well out in the East Lothian, Livingston, West Lothian,
that's
somewhere.
correct, West,
But
yeah.
I remember it really well going in to see them, and it was just really, really fantastic to see that, as you say, a great role model. So congratulations to them.
Absolutely.
Kerry, I just wanted to kind of finish with, you know, what tips, right? So if I'm thinking from, you know, the company side seeking, you know, investment beyond that seed, and, you know, just in the current times, I mean, you've talked about, you know, things that actually might make it a bit easier in the current environment, but what's your top tip?
So I think from a company point of view, it's the age-old thing about resilience and agility. I think if there's one thing that we know, is that, you know, things are always changing. I don't think any of us would have, you know, looked ahead and anticipated something like the pandemic and the impact that would have right across our whole economy, every part of our lives. And some companies have been able to adapt to that really, really quickly. I mean, literally from, you know, one business model to another, because they've realised sort of, you know, overnight that the current business model is not going to work. There's one thing kind of tweaking what you're doing, there's another thing, you know, totally changing what you're doing. But that constant view on resilience and ability to adapt and change to whatever happens round about is even more important now than it's ever been. I mean, hopefully we won't face into another you know, kind of COVID type situation in the short term, but you just never know. And it shows how important it is to be ready and to be able to move quickly. And a number of companies haven't been able to do that, and you know, they're suffering as a consequence. So I think looking forward and being prepared, thinking about where our economy is going. We mentioned earlier, you know, things like food security and, you know, the social dimension. There's a whole lot of things that are now in people's radar that weren't before, and that people are going to be thinking about. You know, consumers are going to be thinking about when they're buying products. You know, business to business is going to be thinking about. And the more companies can really look forward, do a bit of foresighting round about, and using, you know, people like Scottish Enterprise and others who do that anyway, to think about what's next and where their company needs to be, is probably the number one message that I'd leave people with.
Great. And what's interesting about that is that I can completely concur. I mean, that kind of resilience and understanding your place in the world and making sure you're looking ahead and thinking outside and well connected is some of the points that Graham Roy really led with when he was just thinking about the economy generally. So bookending each other there. Kerry, listen, you know, you're, as always, your insight, you've got your finger on the pulse, and you've played such a key part in where Scotland is on the kind of whole investment scene and scaling up companies. So thanks again for your contribution today, and I'm sure you've given a lot of Sheen and Tate clients and our network some real food for thought. So thanks for all that you do, Kerry, and you've said people can contact you direct. So
never a problem.
I know you well, and I know that you'll find a way to respond if people have got kind of opportunities or any advice they're looking for. So Kerry, thanks again, and thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks so much, Lena.